birthday, it's okay.
We know we're friends.
Those are good.
Huh?
Those are good.
That's all we ever want.
Definitely hard. This guy comes.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Sarah?
Here.
Okay, at first we have the approval of the October 20th, 2025 special meeting minutes.
So moved.
Ross, second.
Second.
Ralph, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Opposed? Okay, abstain. From October, you weren't here in October. Then we had the approval, it does say October on it, just but the November 3rd council meeting minutes. Need a motion.
Motion.
Sarah, second.
Second.
Dustin, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And approval of the November 17th, 2025 council meeting minutes. Motion.
Motion.
Sarah, second. Dustin, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll move on to administrative reports. The mayor's report, I have a few things to discuss. Last week, I met with Brian Hill, who is our new representative of P3. Had a good conversation with him. We're looking forward to working with him. Also had a meeting with Susan and a representative from Safer Routes to School. We discussed the school entrance and maybe some things we can do down there. I also spoke with Mr. Wolf about this, and he said, you know, he is willing to partner with us on anything that we want to do. So we're just going to continue talking about that. I will be attending an ODOT Safe Route webinar next week. Tuesday, we will have another meeting with the company in regards to upgrading our website. Thursday evening, I'll be attending the mayor's meeting. And we've also been working on the wages for next year, and I'll have something to you all at our December CAL meeting. The NCA agreement that we were having drafted quite some time ago, that is done. It'll probably be on the January CAL because there's a lot of pages and things to go through. Last, with the potential for snow this evening into tomorrow, please remember to move your cars off the road during the snow emergency so that our snow warriors can plow the roads and be safe out there. That's all I had for the mayor's report. Village solicitor,
Nothing at this time.
any questions for him? All right, police chief's report.
This coming Saturday, being the Christmas event and everything, we'll have extra officers out for that, to assist with the parade, also to assist with the events, you know, in the evening after the parade. Also with that said, on the 13th, we'll be taking part in Shop with a Cop. That'll be occurring at 9 a.m. at Walmart in Circleville. Want to extend the appreciation out to the First Point Men's Club for making a significant donation to help out with that. Also, we had an individual that made a donation to assist with that as well for us to do that. The school, when it works, the school deputies, they get information from the school counselors and stuff and find kids that would be in need and refer them. And it's us, Asheville, South Bloomfield, Sheriff's Office, Highway Patrol, Circleville Police, New Holland Police is all involved with it. We meet up and take the children and their family out, and that way they can shop and get gifts for themselves for the holidays and everything. Other than that, there's legislation tonight for to retain an officer, Bowman, from probation into permanent status. I did give a recommendation to retain Officer Bowman, and that's all that I have.
Any questions for the chief? Okay, I have the village administrator's report here as well. This is Wendy's official last day as village administrator. I want to start off by thanking her for filling that position. She did a great job, so I just want to thank her. Report is, I misspoke at the last meeting. The new sewer plant is in operation currently, however, not at how it was designed to operate. Walkthroughs are being completed and the punch list will be reviewed with our employees, contractor, and the engineering firm in the next few weeks. The village received our approved license to operate our new Class 3 sewer plant with a 1.43 million gallon a day rating from the Ohio EPA. Mike has been getting the plow trucks ready and beautifying the village with hanging of the Christmas decorations. And I want to thank the utility and street employees for all their assistance and supporting during my short-lived time as village administrator. Without their support, I wouldn't have been able to keep up with the task at hand. At this time, I want to introduce everybody to Dave Riley. Dave Riley is our new village administrator.
Hi, everybody. How you
So,
doing, Dave?
anything you want to say?
Happy to be here. Look forward to working with everybody. You know, some of you will be leaving, and some will have some new faces in here. And look forward to serving the community. Been here for 30-some years as a just outside the corporation limits, but I feel I'm a member of the community. So.
We look forward to it. We're happy to have you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, welcome.
You've been here for 19 hours. Have you solved all the problems yet?
I actually got a tour of the facility, some of the facilities this morning, and I've still yet to get my office in order, and get my email running and everything else. So, and I've been getting spam calls all afternoon.
So maybe by next month.
No. Tomorrow we'll fix them all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is our village and engineers report. Susan couldn't be here this evening, so she sent an email. Updates. We are addressing the Belshazzar Street internal comments and updating the construction plans and cost estimate. Chestnut Commons drainage analysis. We are setting up the stormwater model for option B in the drainage report. Once the model is complete, we can evaluate the existing storm sewer system inside the subdivision and what improvements can be made. That is her report. Zoning administrator's report.
I have nothing to report tonight. Any questions, I'll answer.
Okay, fiscal officer.
I'm starting year end and the January cow meeting will be budget related.
Yes. Okay. Now we're gonna move on to legislative reports. Ralph,
I have nothing.
Ross,
Nothing at this time.
Sarah,
Nothing.
Eric.
Yeah, I'd just like to take a couple minutes and say thank you to the people that will want to be here next month for the time and the commitment. Some short-lived, some have been doing something for the village for, well, I think Noah's Ark was down at Hell's Half Acre when Ross started working with the village. And we're closing that chapter, and for somebody that grew up with Ross as a mentor and have become a very deep Christian because of his leading, I'd like to say thank you for your time, for putting your walk with God on hold to help the village. And I know you didn't put it on hold, you were out planting his seeds. And some of your work is why the village is where we are today. So I just want to say thank you. And to those of you that haven't been here quite as long, still much appreciated. Even though we may not have always agreed, I appreciate you at least talking and making the best decision that you thought at the time. So just for me, you, thank you. That's all.
Dustin.
Nothing. I can't top that. So.
Jay. Okay. Committee reports. Park and Rec. They've all been working in here, getting ready for the Christmas event. That's this Saturday. Parade starts at 3. Start from the middle school. Follow the parade, the homecoming parade route. Following that, down at the center of town, we have Santa. That will be there from like 4 to 6. After that, we'll have the tree lighting. It's going to be a little chilly this year. I'm not used to that, but just bundle up. It's always a great time. The Grinch will probably make an appearance, but we will have officers there to help with that. And that's really all I have in that. Oh, and our food and toy drive is December 13th. It's the Saturday, next Saturday, the following Saturday. We'll be here between 12 and 2. You can drive in, drop off toys, food, and all stays local. Global Methodist, we're helping them with gifts to help local kids this year and food as well. So that's all I had for that. Land use?
We don't have anything till after
Yeah.
we decide if we're going to keep that committee or not. In
Yeah.
January.
There's no public comments. We're going to go straight straight into business items. The first one up is the confirmation of Officer Bowman. Any discussion or motions or?
I'm gonna make a motion, we go to executive session to discuss this.
Second. Yeah, do you have the statute in front of you?
No, I'll get it.
Which part is it we have to read? That you wish to go into executive session to discuss, I believe it's employment.
Number one, go into executive session to consider the appointment of employment, dismissal, or discipline, promotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges placed against public official, official licensee, or regulated individual. Adherence to section 121.22 of the ORC.
121.22G.
One. Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a second? I did. Second.
Seconded.
Roll call.
Karen?
Yes.
Ralph? Ralph?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Russ?
No.
Yeah. 7:13, council has elected to go into executive session to discuss the employment matter. There will be business after this, we'll be back.
Please don't bring anything with you.
Yes, sir. No, sir. Nope. I can send you one. Yep. The landscape on that one, the parking section.
This is what you're reading, the red.
This was never on it. This was the black is what we had originally, and then red is if we were to adhere to the current number, red is what we would have to add.
How far is this away from, this is right on the high?
So you can see this line here, this is a 50-foot transmission line,
Yeah.
so there's certain plantings that you cannot put underneath of that just due to height restrictions and whatnot.
I can get on the other ones.
So, actually, I got a little sheet here. So the way it ended up working out actually is that this entire section is 6 feet lower than kind of the road there, so it's a lower goes up, and then the trees are planting kind of up at the tree level. So it's 6 feet lower in that spot, which is 6 feet lower, so, which is
Yeah, I see the color.
which is
What they did on those other ones, or they actually,
well, they most of them, with the exception of this one being underneath the transmission lines, we couldn't build that up and plant the
how come,
trees. There's actually next to the original approval. Yeah. If you remember that new one kind of out along 104, that was.
This is the
Parking back here.
Lake effect. Yeah.
Shook them up there at the way.
Oh, yeah.
Guns and rubber things and what
Oh, yeah.
we have to fight.
Yeah. Nerf guns. That's a little tiny thing.
And I got my buck ready last year, I used to fix that, and I went along, it's got a cylinder on it, it's got 50 rounds on it, right as you. Molly got married. Amazon Union. He, right over here. That person shot the crotch and the butt.
Remind me what we're voting for.
Let's go back.
Executive session.
Yeah, let's come out.
Ralph,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Okay. So we're back to the confirmation of officer bonus. Do I have a motion?
Okay, what was the mayor's recommendation?
Mine was not to confirm.
Okay, that's what we're voting on then. I mean, it's to confirm or
We're
not
voting to
confirm, but
confirm or not confirm.
we have the two recommendations.
Yes.
Okay.
You should have both of those in your packet.
I'll make a recommendation not to confirm Officer Bowman.
Second.
Okay. Roll call. Ross,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Ralph,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
Okay. Next business item is Canal Properties Lot 7. Someone here from,
Thank you, and good evening, everybody. My name is Joel Perry. I'm with the civil engineering firm American Structure Point. We submitted the application for Skinell's Lot 7 on behalf of Skinnell. I've got Dan Harrington with me, he's with Skinnell. Wanted to just get up and introduce the project. This was a major site plan that was approved in December of 2021. It has, due to some construction setbacks, lapsed, so that major site plan approval has closed after 18 months of initial approval. And we have submitted the exact same plan. The process is getting ready to kick off again. Skinnell has gotten some interest in the sites and development of the sites. They've also done a few things related to some of the other lots that help with the drainage issues on some of the sites, and are prepared to move forward with Lot 7 again. So we, the engineering firm, submitted the application on behalf of Skinnell and are requesting the approval of the same plan that was submitted back in 2021. Due to the nature of that plan, we are also requesting waiving the 3 readings and requesting an approval tonight for the major site plan. But it should be noted that that would be contingent upon 2 variances that were also submitted and applied for. That is a variance for the parking and a variance for the landscaping on site as well. So the requested reading or the waiving of the 3 readings and requested approval tonight would be for major site plan contingent upon the variances, which would be voted upon in the coming meetings.
Can you tell us the variances?
So the variances for the landscaping for the parking. Starting with landscape, I think, does everybody have a printout or something with a little bit of color?
Joel, they do not have the copies of the variances, because those are not delivered until January 5th.
Gotcha. So due to the timing when the applications were submitted, the variances needed 30 days of notification in the papers and all of that prior to being read on council. So for landscaping, the variance would be to request 193 trees in lieu of 523, I believe. And then the parking, make sure I get my counts correct. I do not have the parking counts off the top of my head, but they would equate to the proposed parking would be about 1 to 1,500 or 2,000 square foot of parking instead of the 1 to 500, I believe 500 or 1,000. So I would like to note that the parking variance was also approved with the original 2021 application, and the landscape variance, the landscape as proposed in our major site plan was also the original major site plan landscape. So they're the same plans that were approved in 2021.
do you want the parking?
Yeah, so the parking is required 520 parking spots. They're asking for 208 parking spots.
Mhm.
That was approved. The landscape was not approved. We have no landscape plans.
There was, I believe there was a landscape plan included with the major site plan, but the variance was not applied for back in 2021.
And it requires 520
What's the decision to knock the parking down? What was for that?
Sorry, what was that?
Why are you taking less parking places?
At the time, and this was pretty similar with the other buildings approved in the area, the parking spots in the code were kind of deemed as excessive for like a larger building. So, you know, it was, other variances in the area were approved for the 1 million square footers, the 500,000 square footers, et cetera, where it wouldn't make economic sense to basically approve 500 or so spaces for a 500,000 square foot building. So it was a code item that seemed excessive at the time, and those variances were all approved at the time as well. So I think that the argument to be made for the approval of the variance would be that the economics of the building, the current parking that is proposed, would support that size building, and that we were trying to avoid creating a sea of pavement that potentially would never be used.
Did you guys put in like how many with your plan originally? Because I wasn't here for that.
Yeah.
Was there a set number of employees that you thought would be there?
Dan could potentially speak to this, but the buildings were all speculative, so
Okay.
you know, we didn't have anybody in mind. However, just market data would support, let's say, 1 to 1,500 or 1 to 2,000 square foot of building, which is what we proposed with areas that we could expand to if a user came that had a higher need for parking or higher need for employees. So that kind of market data is pretty much what was used to support the number of spaces at the time.
Right. I guess that just kind of worries me, like what you just said, that we gave this variance and then all of a sudden you're coming back in 6 months saying, hey, we got a builder or, you know, a person that wants to take this now, but we need to add these spaces back.
Yep.
We can't vote on the variance tonight anyway.
No.
Public hearings and stuff, so that's, you know.
Can't vote on the variances, but I think that there are methods to come back and get those approvals. The same logic applies that I think that there are some spaces that could be utilized in order to do that if a user were to come by that was a heavy parking user or a heavy, larger number of employees.
Why don't you cut all the trees out?
It was a similar concept that at the time, actually the code of 520 trees, 520 parking spaces. This was all a calculation based on square footage. I'd love to show the
We didn't come back, we got different parking spaces and still less trees. If you're saying that you're doing the trees, parking spaces, that's fine, but that's not what you're doing now. You're doing less trees and you're not parking.
I think you meant our code was that way. It was fine.
I'm saying they were doing, but it's not what you're doing now. It is not now.
So there was data to support the parking and market data for the employees. There's not necessarily the same data to suggest that less trees would be, you can't tie a tree to an employee, for example. So that was actually based on just surrounding code in the area, some of our landscape architect's recommendations for things that would be appropriate to meet, like a base level zoning for this type of building, provide appropriate screening, etc. So
500 trees. How many trees per acre was that you were looking at with your?
I believe it was based on building size, not acres, so I don't have that data right off the top of my head.
I was just curious to how much further the trees are going to be spaced out when you take away that many trees.
So I do have a graphic which basically shows, I think everybody has the landscape plan in front of them. But in addition to the landscape plan, Jim had requested that we provide just a markup in red that shows the number of additional trees that would take in order to meet base zoning. And, you know, this was just an exhibit to kind of show what that would look like. Filling in the areas all the way up to and including like the existing wetlands, over top of the utility easements, underneath of some of the transmission lines, down underneath of the drives, which again is something that, an area that we would propose parking in the event that we would need future parking. On sheet 2, other unused areas on site. It would involve filling all of those trees in all the way up to down to the stream and some of the areas that already have existing planting. So the point of the exhibit was really just to show maybe how 590 trees for a building of this size would really cause us to fill every square inch of the property, which just doesn't meet kind of the intent of the zoning in the area. Was the point?
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think, I could be incorrect, but if I remember correctly, those numbers were put for this area because most of them were going to be seen from the road, so they wanted the trees everywhere. With this one's location, it's really not. I mean, unless you're back in there, you're not going to see it. So I'm not saying that 150 whatever is the right number, but I think that's why last time they were like, yeah, that's too much for this particular lot. And that's why plan versus other is.
It's sitting on 104. It's sitting on 104.
I was thinking of the one in the back. I apologize.
Yeah, that was my question, because I think I would want to see some trees along 104 for sure.
I think that's a little overkill on your 500 trees, but I think there's a number that we could probably get to that's not 500. But
Yeah. So thank you for that feedback. That's actually really good feedback. I just wanted to say that there is screening on 104 in the current major site plan. So it's not where it needs to be based on council's recommendation, or if there are some areas that we want to bolster, we could certainly look at that. 104 is the side of the site that abuts in a differing zone. The other three sides do back up to the neighboring industrial lots on the site. So those are the three sides that we believe could probably be trimmed up a little bit based on current zoning. So in those, the parking and the landscape variances, again, will not be voted upon tonight, but the major site plan contingent upon those items, the outcome of those items is what we would be requesting.
Can I ask a question about the ignorance?
Yeah.
What good would it do us to approve the site plan today if the variance gets denied, you're not going to be able to build it? Is that what I'm getting from you? I guess I'm going to make sure we're before the horse.
Yeah. So it's a great question. I think that approval of the plan would be contingent upon approval of the variances or determination of the variances. So like, for example, if we don't meet the number of trees, we don't think that we need to meet 520 trees, but there is some other number in there, then I think that is what we would work out at the time of those variances or the variance approvals.
So can't these be run like the last one, like together, to where the same night we're voting on this and the variances and just to keep things? Because here's my problem: is you're asking us to make a decision tonight. When next month these three right here will be up here and they be completely against it, and then your clients are going to have to fight tooth and nail. When if we could just pump the brakes, put them together, and I don't know if you can because you started the clock, because you paid your money, but I just think that our due diligence would be to not do anything tonight, and let's let next month happen.
Yep.
you could do it first reading, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it first reading.
Yep.
Yeah.
Basically stop.
That is the part that started. And to answer your question, I think that was our intent, was to get all of it approved at one time. It just so happened the way that the timing worked out with when we submitted it and how long the variances needed to be advertised caused that delay. So we came into the meeting with the recommendation to approve one, and then we probably going to come into the meeting with a recommendation to approve the next ones at the next meeting.
So would you guys be against running them concurrently?
That would be a question for
I mean, is there like a timeline? Because I know with some of the other people, there's been hard lines on financing or hard lines on other things. Are we up against any deadline that if we delay something very expensive or, something like that? Or is this just how it fell and that's what you're asking for?
I'll give Dan the opportunity to speak on that a little bit from my perspective. Skinell has started all of kind of like the process to move forward with, like doing the final designs for these things on an approved project from, several years ago. So really the order of operations, or what I'm trying to do is provide the history of, it was approved. We are at a point where we're ready to move forward with it, and then we realized that those approvals had expired, and then we just had to do a quick stop, pivot back to this portion, and then work through that again. So the haste on our end is really just because we've already started the process with moving forward with the other stuff. So, and then coming back to make the request and requesting the waiving of the third readings was because those things had already been put in motion.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. And if you've got any other questions, feel free to ask.
Okay, up next is the oil fields. Bruce wasn't able to be here tonight. You heard at the last meeting, Mr. Scala said that he had an offer from Columbus to purchase this property with the well fields, which is unfortunate because you always want to look towards the future and find water. It's not for any particular structure. It's always good to be good with water.
So is that offer off the table?
We can still talk about it, but they want to know: are you guys wanting to work with them or not? I know our attorneys, Caleb and Adam said, it does not meet the criteria to use for a TIF because it's not next to the village. My concern is, 115 acres. We don't need 115 acres. Is there a way we can just have a portion of acres and either lease the land?
But we're not. The way that it was explained is we're not buying that land. We are just paying for the test wells, and then we have to negotiate what it is to lease that land to the oil fields. And that's why I told Bruce when I talked to him after that meeting, I said, before I would want something in writing with what's it going to cost us to use that water that we just spent almost $500,000 to find.
Well, we talked about that today. There is an option if we wanted to buy the option to purchase the land, but of course we would not want to do that without knowing that there's water. If we can go in there and say, because it's $500,000, that's a lot of money. Is there a way we could structure it so we can go in and drill for a couple of wells to see if we hit water? So all of this is we've been talking about, and then maybe if we hit water, we can work it out where we only need so many acres and not have all of the rest.
Can they give us a price before we drill, and then after we drill, we hit water? I would ask the question.
Yeah.
That's what I heard too, right? So, heard what you heard. And it come from a very good person that knew, was it really?
And that was their original.
And the problem is though, Nancy, once they hit water, fair market value goes way up.
Absolutely. That's why it's.
That's why it's a contract.
So you guys need to advise me what you want to do so that I can speak with Bruce.
I would tell him that if we can have I don't know what it would be called, whether it be a purchase agreement or whatever, for if we strike water, we want a price before anything for what the use of either that 50, 100, whatever acres it is that we have to have for the Ralston 3 wells. How many wells? 5?
5 wells.
They wanted to do 5.
Well, how many do we need though?
You mean the test wells or the?
Yeah, so once they find water, we just won't have one there, correct?
Oh, you'll have multiple wells.
Okay, so whatever it is, what's it gonna cost us after? Because the $450,000 was just for the exploration.
Right.
So we need to know, we're not throwing
Is
$450,000.
leasing an option of the land, or is it a required purchase?
Leasing is an option. We kind of compared what we lease the property for now. It would be kind of close to that. The option to buy the option is, I don't think, feasible for the village.
What price tag do they put on it?
Just the option.
I believe what Bruce said was, should you go forward, should they find the money to do the testing, and should they find water, they would be willing to lease the wells to the village, keep the property question that was really posed was, can we use TIF funds for the well exploration? And what Caleb and company said was, we cannot at the current time, it's foreclosed forever, but at the current time, we cannot use the TIF funds to pay for the well as it exists, or just to go out and see if it works.
But if we
Should we find water? Should we use the water specifically for the TIF property? Then it may be, and I'll emphasize may be properly TIF'd for that area because it's an improvement to the services in that area. That's a lot of ifs and maybes. They have a option to purchase that property. They're not going to exercise it unless they find water on it. I do not know what their negotiations are with the city of Columbus. I was led to believe that it was a fait accompli, that Columbus wanted the water, and that they were going to close on the property, but I have not spoken to Bruce or Billy on the subject.
I spoke to him today. They have not closed. The offer that Columbus gave them. He did offer the option of purchasing it. That's why I'm bringing everything that he told me today. And I just think that's way out of our league for them to take that kind of. Even if you would take the option and say, even the option is too much, right? So I think what we need to do is go back to him and your idea of potentially, because I don't remember Caleb and Adam telling us that it could potentially later be able to tip.
If it was to be used,
Yeah.
if you find the water and you pipe the water directly to the area
So maybe
that's being used, so if all the water was to come through our treatment plant, go directly to the TIF area, or be used for the properties inside the TIF to increase your infrastructure or your capability of water, then there's a possibility 5-10 years out in the future that you could use TIF funds. What Billy and Bruce wanted to do was say, use TIF funds for the exploration. It's just,
can we use tap fees? Not for the whole amount. I'm just saying if we wanted to explore and drill a couple wells, could we use tap money?
I thought we were holding all the tap money for future water. But you gotta find that water, right? So why couldn't the tap fees be used for exploration?
Wellfield exploration is included in the thought of using tap fees.
We have enough in there, correct? Yeah, I don't understand why we're tripping over ourselves when we have it, and that's what we did it for. We just tell them, what do we gotta do to do this?
we use those fees for the last exploration, right?
So maybe we get and see if maybe we just want to drill a couple.
Are we talking about the $450,000? Is that the only thing we're talking about?
Yeah.
Just to do the exploration.
Pay it out of the general fund?
Well, we got the tap fee.
Huh?
Water.
We got the tap fee.
We use tap fee money. That's what we did the last exploration that came up empty.
But I think, Bill, wasn't your concern to be paying that amount of money just for exploration? You don't even know that you're going to get money. I know
That exploration, we don't have a lease in place, we don't have.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's what we would have, that's what we would have to
You wanted something signed.
with the intentions of doing the exploration. And then what are the contingencies either way? Whether we don't hit anything or we do hit anything.
Because we don't want to spend our $450,000, and not that I think that the Scala family would do this, but then him say, yeah, we need $5 million to use that water.
Now, Bruce made the representation on the record that it would be a water lease similar to the current leases in place.
Is that with him or owning the property?
I don't know who's going to own the property. I would imagine it would be an SPE, single purpose entity that they would form to purchase the property. I'm sure there's a single purpose entity they used for the option to purchase the property, which is where they're at right now. I don't know when that option runs out.
Also, what's your concern there? Because we won't get to hear your concern next month.
You don't have time to hear.
Fair enough.
Okay. I'll get back up with tomorrow, hopefully have something by the county. Okay. All right. Next is the retail liquor renewal. This is for every, but not a specific place, every place in the village that sells liquor. If you have a problem with it and you want to object to it, we'll have to have legislation. If you're fine with it, I just need a motion and a second.
This is just for the renewal specifically as the licenses sit as of today.
This
So
is
if there's
for
any
us.
changes, in the future, this does not apply to that because we will address those of any transfers, any sales, any things of any licenses. Correct.
It's just, we want to hear.
If you look on the ownership records, that means, I think, it looks to me like transfers and things are already taken place, already done.
Okay.
So we're dealing with current business owners and operators.
Yeah.
I don't know, do we have anything on record? Do we have police calls? Do we have things that we can cite and date and time, and records that we can use to make some decisions on this? Because, if there are, then,
We pull those for a public record request, Ross. I believe that we can access those and get them to you within a week.
yeah, that'd be my concern on this thing, because I remember very clearly we went through quite an exercise in 2 years trying to come up with a workable sound ordinance, a noise ordinance, and it came down to what was intended to be kind of a hey to everybody. Hey, we're paying attention to this. We've got some complaints, and now we have an ordinance. But instead of doing that, business owners decided that we'll just push the limit and we'll find out what we can do. So they went ahead with that plan when they didn't get their way. Then they enticed their clientele then to pay back revenge, hostage, and people who lived in the area of complaint were ones who were victimized in a revenge process.
Hold on. Can we prove that they did that?
Absolutely.
We can prove that they told them to retaliate.
What? No.
And
What
and
else? How else would they know?
What
Bro,
this is
we have to be very
let's
careful,
not
right?
get off track here. What this is for anybody, and this is Pettit's, this is the Hawk, this
Right.
is Smoke, anybody that can sell liquor. This is for them. It's not for an individual business.
Well, this is to request a hearing on a specific liquor license, so it is individualized. We just get it every year for everyone, whether it's a A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yes, if you want to request a hearing, you have to stay on the specific one, and then I think they hold a hearing. I don't know if Bill represents us or if we have to go, but
I don't see a date on here. It expires February 1st.
Yeah.
And that's how they all used to submit them individually, and you guys would vote on them individually. The last 2 years have been lumped together
Yeah.
to where everybody renews at the same time. So you get this one individual letter that says if you want to object, they need to know by January 2nd.
Right.
So if you want information, Ross, if you're looking for
I'm
information.
just curious about, is there any reason that we need to pursue anything? Do we have anything on record?
Well, if you have those concerns, that's what I'm saying.
And I
We'll have to have a special meeting. We'll get that stuff together for you. We'll have to have a special meeting before our cow
Yeah.
in December because we might need legislation.
Right,
We have to
exactly.
have it
I
on
get
by
that.
bill. It's gotta be there by January 2nd.
Right.
And Bill will have to write up a statement along with that legislation. So is that what you're requesting?
Do a special meeting prior to the count.
We will have to have a special meeting.
Thank you.
6:30 be okay? Think that's enough time?
I think so.
Okay. Okay. So that's what we'll do with that one. I'm gonna move on to the traffic studies. Last month when Susan was here, I was discussing them. She said that the price had gone up because we weren't only looking at like four-way stops. We were looking at lights, street lights or signal lights.
Point of order, where is that on the agenda? I don't have it. I don't
Is it not on E? No. We don't have it. What's on mine? That's what matters. I'm just kidding. I'll do an additional comments.
I just wanted to.
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck? I
I
remember
went
we said
back
we
and
wanted
added
it.
it. I went back and added it, and I bet I saved it online. I apologize. So we'll talk about that. All right, legislation. resolution approving the major site plan application for Scanel Properties, number 627 LLC on behalf of K-Nova. Record reflect, we did title only. Okay, resolution 36/2025, a resolution to ratify the realignment of monies within the general fund from the transfers out account 1,910,910 and transfer said monies to the telephone account 1,710,321.
Motion waived.
Motion to waive by Eric, second.
Second.
Second by Jay. Roll call.
Ralph,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Okay, motion to adopt.
Yeah.
Eric, second.
Second.
Sarah. Roll call.
Dustin,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Ralph,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Okay, we have no pending administrative actions. We're gonna go to additional business, so we'll start all over. Okay, so when Susan was here last month, she explained, you know, the price had gone up, and she said $10,978, but that is per traffic study. So doing the two that we were talking about would be in the upwards of like $21,000.
Do
So-
we have to use them? Even, I mean, can we shop that even though they're contracted to make sure that that's competitive? Or
Yes, you can, as professional services, you can always stop. But your price is not gonna be
okay, that's fine.
radically different for a traffic study.
So bringing, after having that discussion with Safer Routes to Schools, if we would choose to do 7th Street and Main Street and up here by the school, we would save, she said, probably 2,000 or 3,000 because the boxes would be used on this road. So we could basically get two by saving a couple thousand. And maybe think about the Welch Road, 762 at a later time. Just depends on what you think is most important. If you want to do them at all, or if you just want to do one, I just need some guidance.
I think Welch and 762 is going to be a bigger, for safer routes to school, especially when we had talked as a council, I think last year, you know, about trying to connect Chestnut down, and it would just, if we're going after grant money, it would answer more of that. Because this road is kind of like what Asheville tried to do with the school, I think 5 or 6 years ago, and it got turned down. They said it just didn't eliminate.
No, I don't think that would work in Safer Routes to School. It would be like if there was a walk path or something. I'm just thinking, and not necessarily with Safer Routes to School, just a traffic study. If possibly we need a signal there that works during school hours. Because we've received quite a few complaints about that area.
You receive complaints because it takes too long, or because kids have almost gotten hit, or I mean, if it's because it takes too long, that's one type of complaint. If it's a safety complaint, that's
I
another
think
one.
that most of the complaints are nobody knows what they're supposed to be doing. Like who turns left, who turns right. There is a crosswalk there, but so it just depends. If you guys would rather just do Welch and
I would personally prefer Welch. I can't stand that intersection. But that's just my personal preference.
but that one would, you know, that's.
But what do you mean people don't know to go right or go left? Like what do they not?
They don't know
They don't know that's
who gets first. And
Yeah.
it's
All the traffic here during school.
And then I started thinking, well, eventually, Walker Point, when all of their sidewalks are done, they're going to be forced to walk, like they tried to do a few years ago. So, and they said they weren't going to do that until all the sidewalks were complete. So that's another thing I was thinking of in the future as well.
The challenge that I had thought about is, yes, Welch Road 762, obviously, the problem we run into is multiple jurisdictions there.
Yes.
It's not entirely in our jurisdiction at this point.
Right.
No.
The
And
north side of Welch is
if
not
we're
ours.
going to do anything regarding that intersection, we really need to be involved with the township and or the state. So yes, all those jurisdictions really need to be brought together before those types of expenditures from the village should come forward. I think that would be, if we wanted to make a point, would you do that? But I don't want to wait and make a point with thousands of dollars for the traffic study if we don't have anything in the imminent future.
Do we have any pending applications for grants with Safe Schools?
We do not. We did it several years ago, didn't we, Ross? Isn't that the one you
Yep.
worked
Has Susan looked to see if there's any available for calendar year 26?
I think that's Nancy, what you.
There are some,
The deadline for planning for 26 is probably over by now.
I think it was October.
there are some funds. One was the end of December, which obviously is that. The next one is in March. So, and she even brought up the idea of a roundabout there.
And
In
again,
front of the school.
I'm not opposed to trying to find ways to improve that intersection because I agree with Sarah that it's horrible. But I think that was going to be probably more complex on our horizon, and all of the parties need to be brought together to have those conversations to see if we all move together in the same direction rather than one jumping out for no particular reason ahead of time and everybody else trying to play catch up.
And
So I would be a pause on that one just in that case.
And I know, speaking with her, which they runs the school, they also mentioned what I know a couple was mentioned before, the school putting in another entrance off of.
If there's a building back there, that's part of the plan.
Yeah.
That's
So,
what it's supposed to be. I personally, if we don't do the Welch or whatever, I don't think we should spend the money for this one until we've talked to the schools on total our concerns with the buses going through the neighborhood still, and all that traffic. The remedy is when that was originally approved, when they bought that 15 acres to at that point do a middle school and a high school,
yeah,
there was going to be an entrance out there.
yeah.
Well, our residents are now reaping the benefits of their poor planning because now we got a juggernaut, and it takes somebody that lives on Main Street 17 minutes some mornings to get to the middle school.
Yeah.
So I think this comes on the school.
Yeah, and I've had, conversations with Kyle about this, and I wanted to get everybody's feeling and then circle back with him. Yeah, I think, it would be nice if there were crossing guards, but, the school that's something the school would have to deal with.
And correct me if I'm wrong, was our original intention primarily the intersection here, and we're looking potentially only moving that to encompass two potential problem spots that we have for less, right? So it's
For less money.
for less money. So
Yes.
our intention is still there at that
Right.
intersection. We're just considering expanding it for a modestly higher price, correct? Okay.
So I'll talk to Kyle some more. I'll put this on the cal too, and and maybe because budget, I don't know if we even have enough in there to cover it right now. Budgeted, maybe next year we can ask the budget a little bit more in there. Go from there. Okay.
Is there a way at a time maybe we start the outreach and the other? Let's not put it to bed, but maybe start the outreach for the other intersection as well. Let's keep. Yeah, I mean, let's start with if it's I don't know. Welch is a county road, not townships, correct?
Right.
Okay. So yeah, county and state, we can
Well,
serve
half
this
of it.
Yeah.
Half of it's
Right,
ours.
and that's where I'm saying we are going to get into that.
But and we had talked about, and I don't know if Ross ever was able to get a hold of Mr. Taylor
Well,
to see about, selling us or giving us an easement so that both sides of that road was ours. And I know when we had talked about it, Mr. Taylor was in Florida, but we had discussed possibly doing that so that would make all of Welch fall on the village. Because we would have land on both sides. And then it would be us and the state, but
And not to be a broken record, but all of these issues would come up in a comprehensive plan.
you are
Working on
correct.
that is correct. Yes.
And on that, you got the message at MSG. Is that right? Yeah. Wanted to wait until January, and they had a couple more things they wanted to tie up. I think it's only fair to invite the other gentleman back as well when we have new council members and listen to what they say. That's all I had.
I have one thing, Ross, for your public records request, how far back do you want this to go? Like a year, 2 years?
2 years, please.
Any other additional business?
I have one.
Okay.
Now, I'm not as eloquent as what Eric had earlier, but on the heels of that, for Mr. Krigo,
It's silly.
just our appreciation for your service.
I'm trying to clean the house.
And so,
get rid of everything and put that
We wanted to give you an appreciation of the years that you've served the community. You are greatly appreciated for the time and the efforts that you've provided.
That's a great kindness, and I appreciate that. But you know, I'm 53 years being in the village. I've served all or parts of 26 years, doing one job or another. And the thing I've realized, the thing that I want to pass along, is that I have just seen every time there's a new administration, every time there's change of council, we lose our vision. We lose the momentum that we've had going on. We had plans 9, 10 years ago about certain properties that were key properties and certain things that need to be done, and it just all fell apart because every time we had a new administration, every time we got a different council, all of a sudden all those things were just thrown away. And I've seen tens of millions of dollars of village good be wasted and thrown away because of short-sightedness and not understanding, having a direction. And the only other thing I would contribute is that if you're not growing, you're dying. You cannot stay the same. You know, the growth is what upgrades your sewer plants, water plants, your facilities, which maintains the services and keeps that other shoe from falling at some time later when all of a sudden everything goes bad and I wonder why that happened. You know, I guess, you know, there are several things that but the last thing, promise. I find it frustrating that every person who moves into town wants to be the last person to move into town. The places where you live now, 50 years ago, I hunted quail, rabbits, and pheasants, and now you have homes there. And that doesn't make me happy, but you're there, and we need to learn to figure it out. And if you moved in someplace and expected across from your house is always going to be an open field, a great scenery of some kind, you need to move to Ross County or Pike County where nothing changes. We're in an exciting area where so much is going on, and it takes a lot of research and a lot of understanding about not just rules and regulations, but about where we're going to. My question is always where are we going to be 10 years from now? 10 years from now, I want somebody to say they did a good job. You know, that to me is what matters. I've never had any personal gain from anything here, and there's been a lot of frustrating times, but there's a joy in seeing things done in a way that benefits the community. John Kaiser was the one who taught me that. Completely different political persuasions. John would vote for a Democrat, been dead for 6 months instead of voting for somebody else. But we both loved the village, and saw that was the most important thing that we had to do was develop character and develop a future for the residents of this village, and figure out a way to make it all happen in a way that makes sense in the future. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Rob.
it. Thank you.
Any other additional business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? Jay?
I got that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you. And welcome.
See you around.